Hello and welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with Wicked. Darkness Abroad. Every second or third day, Nanny took Elphaba by the hand and waddled the shadowy road to Rush Margins. There, Elphaba mingled with the greasy children under the eyes of Sol and Garnet. Frex had moved out again. Was it confidence or desperation? He was scaring miserable hamlets with his frenzied beard, his collected opinions on faith, gone for 8-10 days at a time. Milena practiced piano arpeggios on a tuneless mock keyboard Frex had carved for her to a perfect scale. Turtle Heart seemed to wilt and parch as autumn came on. Their afternoons of dalliance began to lose the heat of urgency and developed into warmth. Milena had always appreciated the attention of Frex and had somehow been attended to him, but somehow his body had not been as subtle as Turtle Heart's. She drifted off to sleep with Turtle Heart's mouth on one of her nipples on his bare hands. His big hands like sentient pets. She imagined Turtle Heart dividing his body when her eyes closed. His mouth roamed, his cock rose and nudged and leaned. His breath was somewhere other than his mouth, hissing elegantly into her ear wordlessly. His arms were like stirrups. Still, she didn't know him, not the way that she knew Frex. She could not see through him as could most people. She put down his majestic bearing, but Nanny, ever watchful, remarked one evening it was just those ways that were the ways of a quadling, and Milena had never even acknowledged that he came from a different culture than she did. Culture? What's culture? Milena said lazily. People are people. Don't you remember your nursery rhymes? Nanny put aside her sewing with relief and excited. Boys study, girls know. That's the way the lessons go. Boys learn, girls forget. That's the way of lessons yet. Gillikinese are sharp as knives. Munchlanders leave corny lives. Glickens beat their ugly wives. Wickens swarm in sticky hives. But the quadlings, oh the quadlings, slimy, stupid, curse at godlings, eat their young and bury their old a day before their bodies get cold. Give me an apple, I'll say it again. What do you know of him? Nanny asked. Is he married? Why did he leave Lower Slime Pit or wherever he comes from? Naturally, it's not my place to ask such personal questions. Since when did you ever know your place or keep it either? When Nanny leaves her place, believe me, you'll know, said Nanny. One evening in early autumn, for fun, they built up a fire in the yard. Frex was home and good-humored, and Nanny was thinking of heading back to Calling Grounds, which made Milena good-humored too. Turtle Heart put together a supper, a distasteful goulash of small sour apples and cheese and bacon. Frex was feeling expensive. The idea that the blast tick-tock contrivance, the clock of the Time Dragon, had been wearing off at last, thank the unnamed god, and the graceless poor had been turning out to hear Frex harangue them. A 2-week mission at 3 dead trees had been a success. Frex had been awarded with a small wallet of brass coins and barter tokens, and the glow of devotion or even lust on his face of more than one penitent. Perhaps our time here is limited, said Frex, sighing with some contentment and clasping his arms behind his head. The typical male response to happiness, thought Milena, to predict his demise. Her husband went on. Perhaps the road from us margins leads us to higher things, Milena. Grander stations in life. Oh, please, she said. My family rose from humble beginnings for 9 generations to produce me with my ankles in the mud out here in the middle of nowhere. I don't believe in higher things. I mean the lofty ambitions of the spirit. I don't mean to storm the Emerald City and become a personal confessor to the Ozma regent. Why not put yourself to be the confessor to Ozma Tiperatorius? Nanny asked. She could see herself rising in courtly Emerald City society if Rex had such a position. So what if the royal baby is what, only 2 years old? 3? So we have government by a male region again. It's only for a limited engagement. Like most male encounters, you're young still, she'll grow up. You'll be well placed to influence society. I don't care about ministering to anyone in court, not even as an Ozma the fanatically devout. Frex licks a solid pipe. My mission is to be the downtrodden and humble. Goodness should travel to Quadling country, said Turtleheart, downtrodden there. Turtleheart didn't often speak of his past, and Melina remembered Nanny's gibe about her laugh of curiosity. She waved the pipe away. Why did you leave ovals anyway? Horrors, he said. Elphaba, who had been hoping for ants to crawl across the grindstone so she could smash them with a rock, looked up across the shallow basin of the stone. The others waited for the turtle to go on. Melina's heart lifted uneasily. She had been a sudden premonition of things changing right here this very evening. The most splendid, gentle night. Things going away just when they had managed to settle down. What sort of horror? Said Frax. I feel a chill. I'll get a shawl, said Melina. Or ministers to Pastorius, the Ozma regent. Why not, Frax? Nanny said. I'm sure with Melina's family connections you could twist an invitation. Horrors, said Elphaba. It was her first word, and it was greeted with silence. Even the moon, a lambent bowl among the trees, seemed to pause. Horrors? Elphaba said again, looking around. Though her mouth was serious, her eyes glowed. She had realized her own accomplishment. She was nearly 2 years old. The big sharp teeth in her mouth could not keep her words locked inside her anymore. Horrors, she tried to whisper. Horrors. Come to Nanny, darling. Come sit on my lap and hush for a while. She obeyed, but sat forward apart from Nanny's cushy bosom, allowing Nanny's arms to ring around her waist, but to no contact more than that. She stared at Turtleheart and waited, and Turtleheart said in an odd voice, Turtleheart is thinking that child to speak for the first time. Yes, said Frex, exhaling a ring of smoke, and she's asking about the horrors. Unless you don't care to tell us? Turtleheart to say little, Turtleheart to work and laugh, and to leave words for the goodness and the lady and the nanny, and now for the girl. Say it little, though, since you brought it up. Melina shivered. She hadn't gone for a shawl. She could not move. She was heavy as stone. Workers for the Emerald City and other places, they come to the Quadling country. They to look and taste and sample the air and the water. Then they plan to move the highway. Quadlings to know this is a waste of time and a wasted effort. They do not listen to Quadling voices. Quadlings aren't road engineers, I suspect, said Frex evenly. The country is delicate, said Turtleheart. In ovals, the house is to float between trees, crops to grow to small platforms hooked by ropes, boys to dive in shallow water for vegetable pearls. Too many trees, and there is not enough crops and help. Too few trees, and the water rises, and roots of plants floating on top cannot distress soil. Quadling country is poor country but beauty rich. It is only to support life for careful planning and in cooperation. So resistance to the yellow brick road is only part of the story. Quadlings cannot to convince and builders who want to build up dikes of mud and stone and to cut Quadling to pieces. Quadlings to argue and to pray and to testify and cannot win with words. Frex held his pipe to his hands and watched Turtleheart speak. Frex was drawn to him. Frex was always drawn to intensity. Quadlings consider to fight, said Turtleheart, because they think this is the only start. When the builders just have soil and to sift water, they learn of things Quadlings are smart forever, but Quadlings to keep still. Things you know? Turtleheart to speak of Ruby, he said with a great sigh. Ruby's under the water. Red as pigeon blood. Red engineers to say red conundrum in lands of crystalline limestone under swamp. Quadlings to say the blood of Oz. Like the red glass you make, said Melina. Ruby glass to come by adding gold chloride, said Turtleheart. but Quadling country to sit on top of deposits of real ruby. And the news sure to go to the Emerald City with the builders. What to follow is horror upon horror. How do you know? Snapped Melena. To look in glass, said Turtleheart, pointing to the rundle he made as a toy for Elphaba, is to see the future in blood and rubies. I don't believe in seeing the future. That smacks of the pleasure of faith, said Frex fiercely. The fatalism of the time dragon. No, the unnamed god has an unnamed history for us, and prophecy is merely guesswork and fear. Fear and guesswork is enough to make Turtleheart to leave Quadling country then, said the Quadling guest blower without apology. Quadlings do not call religion a pleasure of faith, but they to listen to signs and to wait for messages, as the water to run red with rubies, it will run with blood of Quadlings. Nonsense, Fred Fuss read to himself. They need a good talking to. Besides, isn't Pastorius a simpleton? Said Melena, who alone then could claim an unformed opinion in the royal house. What will he do